This is Michael Luchies with the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, and I'm joined by entrepreneur, travel expert, author, and public speaker, Tammy Levent. Tammy, thanks a lot for joining me.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm looking forward to our event.
Great, and same here. Tell us a little bit about what you're currently working on.
Oh, Lord. I know we only have 10 minutes. That's going to take me longer than that. But currently I am working on changing the travel world, making a little bit of history here. I've owned my own travel agency for 20 years. Before that, I've had my own businesses since I was 17. But right now my focus is helping other entrepreneurs or actually travel agents who think that they're not entrepreneurs, which they are when they own their own business, and how to build their brand and get to the next level and not be intimidated by online. So I have an entire training series program and working with companies that do multi-billion dollars worth of travel that they've hired me to consult. And that's where I'm at.
You have a truly inspiring story and have persevered through unimaginable circumstances. I encourage everyone listening to read Tammy's story on her About page on TammyLevent.com. What has driven you to succeed when others would have given up or failed?
I think we all have it in us. I think it depends on your circumstance. I don't think that people really fail. I don't believe that to begin with. I think we all go through something in life and need to make a change. So I think that when things get thrown at us, it's more of the time that you need to look and reflect on everything that you're doing in your life and make a change. I never believed in failure. I really have not since I was a young child, so I really don't believe that. Sometimes life throws us a curveball and we have to go to a different direction, but maybe it's best for us, but you're not looking at it at the time. I was in a situation where immediately I had no money. I lost everything in a robbery. My husband had brain damage, 2 kids in intensive care, a grandmother who passed away who was, raised me, and I was in a position that I had to do something. Well, that was my opportunity to make a change in my life. So it's not really a failure, or, it had to be, a change had to be made. It was inevitable.
Looking back on your businesses and decisions, is there anything that you would go back and change if you could?
If I could, I would make more strategic partnerships. If it's the only thing I would do is do more with not being in a comfort zone. There's a lot of times that you're very successful as an entrepreneur and you think you've reached the top, and you're like, this is great, I'm doing great, and you're maintaining. But I would take that moment where I thought I was maintaining, which I was, but turn around and build more strategic partnerships to build a bigger brand and to do more. I think I would probably increase my workload. There you go.
On behalf of the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, I want to thank you for agreeing to speak at the upcoming 2014 CEO National Conference hosted by University of Tampa in Orlando. What do you plan on sharing with the students and young entrepreneurs in attendance?
Well, mine's a little different, I think, that you've had in the past, and we did discuss this. I'm planning on teaching them when I was in a situation that I had nothing, zero, of how you can build your brand and your business with absolutely no money. And it's not like one of these infomercials that you see, build your own business without any money. It's not going to be that type of a hype, but it's going to be having them really be creative and think of ways for others to build their brand along with them without having to worry about capital or going out there and saying I need a loan, and start off in the negative than starting off positive, in their business and in life in general. So that's strategic partnerships, again, is what I'll be talking about.
I speak with so many young aspiring entrepreneurs who are so much more focused on fundraising through recruiting investors instead of starting off by bootstrapping or starting with no upfront capital. What problems do you see coming from this trend?
Well, it's funny because I'm on the board of the USF Entrepreneurship Department, and I do speak there a lot. And I get the same thing. I'm done speaking, and I have people that actually come to me and say to me, do you know where I can get capital? So you're not the only one. I mean, it happens to me when I'm out there speaking with them. I think they need to focus that every business does not start off with capital. I'm sure that when Apple started in his garage, he started with very little or himself. You know what I'm saying? It started off as a concept, and you have to have passion for what you're doing. It's not just give me the money and let me start. You're already starting, like we just mentioned a minute ago, as a deficit, as a minus. You're going to have to pay back your investors. I understand that if something needs a lot more money, let's say there's some kind of software program that you're developing, or it's a product that needs to be beta tested or created. But something like mine, that I'm in the travel business and now one of the largest travel agencies in the country, I started off with just an idea and a concept. I think there's a lot of that you don't need that capital, and just start thinking outside the box and really creating your own. You don't want to owe anyone. You don't want any partners. I'm telling you, you want to do this on your own and make it for yourself, and then be proud of what you've done from nothing. And it's not always about the money, starting off.
And you mentioned strategic partners. What are some of the things you've been able to accomplish just because of strategic partners?
Well, my entire company, I think, was built on strategic partnerships. When I first started my company, I had nothing, and I ended up the nurse came in and said, if it had nothing to do with money, what would you do? So she gave me a newspaper, and in there was a job offer for outside sales. I had to take whatever I could and travel. So once I started working with this gentleman, he retired. I took over the business, but it was too much for me to handle and too much for me to keep growing. I needed a staff, and I was still in deficit of $180,000. So how the hell am I going to pay for a staff when I can even barely make it? So I ended up going to one of the largest travel companies that are independently owned here in Tampa Bay and said, listen, I have $3 million in business to bring you, plus your own, but this is what I need, and I'll give you a percentage of what I have. It wasn't really a partnership. He didn't lay out any money. I didn't lay out any money. We both came to an agreement to build our brands together to build a bigger brand, and that's where I'm at today. And then we separated our ways. He retired again. It seems like I'm out retiring, everyone. I'm still working. But we still build our brands and brought it to the level that it is right now. And you see brands doing this all the time. To make everyone understand a little better, you have Baskin-Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts. Either Baskin-Robbins couldn't make it on their own because it wasn't cost effective, or the same with Dunkin' Donuts, and they merged. You go to a Hess and you see a Dunkin' Donuts. You go to, other resources, and sometimes you see a KFC and with a Blimpie, if you understand what I'm saying. So there's all strategic partnerships to build a bigger brand or to even build your business.
Great. One of the things you teach is how to build a successful business in any economic climate. What are some keys to building a startup that's economy-proof?
Well, I'm going to give you mine, for example. When I first started my business, I was doing corporate travel. And then what happened? We had 9/11, and then we had a decline in business because of 9/11, and then after that, we had the commission cuts. So travel agents and then we had the onlines to deal with. So we had it coming from every which direction. You had 9/11, commission cuts, and you also had the situation with the fact that there was no business. Consumers were doing less and less corporate travel. So what I did was I decided to switch over my gears and to know when to do it, when the right timing is, and say, what is one type of travel that everybody does that would be recession-proof, economy-proof, war-proof, everything? It was honeymoons. So everyone always gets married, and when they get married, whether it be they spend less on a honeymoon or if they spend, a little bit less during that time period, they're still going to go on a honeymoon. So that was what I focused on and completely switched my gears, and that's what grew my business from the $3 million. I started with minus, of course, and then at the time that happened, I was at around $3 million to exceeding over $90 million in travel business today because of my honeymoons and destination weddings. So again, you have to be really into the trends, into the market, and what consumers are into at this time and what they're buying into, and make that switch before it crashes on you. Be aware.
Once again, this is Michael Luchies from Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization here with Tammy Levent. What's the biggest mistake you see young entrepreneurs making, and how can they work to overcome it?
Okay, we talked about this too, and it's entitlement. They all feel, hey, I am going to college. My parents raised me. It's our fault as parents because we've given them just about everything that they want or that they need through life instead of maybe having a little bit more hardship. I hate to say, but I think the economy in the last couple of years and seeing their parents struggle may have made a difference in the way that young students think today or young budding entrepreneurs. But I think it's that entitlement role and the fact that I think they need to learn to adapt in any given situation, like as mine, where I lost everything, in that situation, but they need to understand that what if they had nothing, what would they do? And be a little bit more realistic. I think they're seeing all these, you got your Facebook owners and all your corporate bigwigs out there and making millions and billions of dollars. I think they understand they got there, but how did they get there? And to be a little bit more realistic and not have the expectations that they do, that it's not going to happen right out of the gate, and to work a little harder for it.
What's your overall best piece of advice for young entrepreneurs, something they can do right now?
Right now is to goal setting. I still do goal setting after all these years in business, which is amazing. I still do it every day. I would say I claim it first, and I think I wrote you that as a little quote, which is mine. I claim it first and then I own it, because if I don't claim it, then it never belonged to me to begin with. So if, let's say, I'll give you my latest adventure was partnering with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, and we're doing speaking engagements together to teach travel agents to become entrepreneurs. I met with him on I believe it was May 19th or 20th, and said, I want to do a speaking seminar limited to 50 agents globally. Would you do this with me? And within a week, we already had the location, had the seminar down, had it figured out, and already have 15 people that have signed on. We only need 35 more, which is going to happen. It's in October that we're looking at. So even if it's a short-term goal, you have to follow through. If it's a long-term goal, it's the same thing, and then have a deadline of what you're going to make this happen and actually do it. There's a lot of people that just talk and say, I'm going to do this, it's a goal, but it never comes through into fruition, which is one thing that I strongly suggest to even my employees, to my children, to everyone that I touch or that I meet with, is your goals are very important. And these are all goal setting, but write them down and make yourself accountable to do them and to make sure that you go through with them. Work on the next one.
And how can people find out more about you?
The best thing is to go to my website, which is TammyLevent.com. I'm the only Tammy Levent in the world. I branded and made up my name, so it's easy to find me. And that would be the best bet. And if they have any questions or they have any thing that they want to share with me, or if they need advice, they can feel free to email me. That would be the best way. And I'm open to everyone. I respond to every single person that comes in contact with me.
Well, once again, I want to thank you for agreeing to come speak at the 2014 CEO National Conference, and look forward to seeing you in Orlando in late October.
Well, thank you. Same here. I look forward